The story begins with a loud, deafening crash. Karnak, an alien soldier, wakes up in a world he's never seen before. His eyes snap open, and he feels pain in every part of his body. The spaceship he had been traveling in, which was once sleek and powerful, is now broken into pieces. He struggles to move, but his body feels heavy, and his breathing is shallow. He's alone. Zarnak had been sent on a mission, one he never expected to be so dangerous. His assignment wasn't about conquering planets or fighting wars. No, Sarnak's punishment was much worse, to be sent to Earth. To him, Earth was nothing but a primitive, weak world, a place where nothing exciting ever happened. The alien commanders had sent him here, not as a soldier, but as a prisoner, a punishment for his failures. This was the place where he'd be forced to suffer. In Sarnak's eyes, Earth was a backward planet filled with weak humans, and its primitive technology was no match for the advanced alien forces. He couldn't understand why his commanders had chosen this place. But as the reality of his situation sank in, Sarnak began to regret everything. The spaceship had failed to land as planned, and now he was stranded. The pain from the crash still throbbed in his head, and his vision blurred. The world outside his spacecraft was quiet, almost too quiet. There was no sound of bustling cities, no alien ships hovering above, just the silence of an unknown land. Sarnak's cloak was malfunctioning because of Earth's atmosphere, and his high-tech equipment, like his AI assistant and cloaking device, were disabled. Everything was broken. As he slowly pulled himself out of the wreckage, Sarnak realized he was surrounded by trees and thick underbrush. He didn't know where he was. Earth wasn't anything like he had expected. No advanced cities, no towering structures, just dense, wild forests and rough terrain. The weight of his punishment settled heavily on him. His commanders had sent him here to die. There was no escape. There was no one to save him. The feeling of helplessness was suffocating. His advanced technology, once a source of power, was useless. The Earth's atmosphere had stripped him of everything that made him special. But as Sarnak lay there, feeling the finality of his mission, something unexpected happened. A rustling sound broke the silence. Sarnak's sharp alien senses snapped to attention. Was this it? Were the Earthlings coming to finish him off? The rustling grew louder. Something was approaching. His heart raced, and for a moment, he thought it was a human coming to finish the job. He didn't have the strength to fight anymore. His weapon systems were useless. There was nothing he could do. Then, out of the shadows, Lily appeared. She was young, human, and dressed in simple clothes, carrying a small medical pack. Her eyes widened in shock when she saw Sarnak, but she didn't run. Instead, she hesitated, staring at him for a long moment. She could see he was injured, broken, and struggling. He looked like he needed help. Sarnak didn't know what to make of this human. They were weak, untrained, but something in her expression told him she wasn't afraid. In fact, she seemed curious. Lily stepped closer, cautiously reaching for her medical supplies. Her hands trembled slightly, but she was determined. She knew she had to help him, even though she didn't understand what or who he was. Her heart told her it was the right thing to do. "Hey, are you okay?" she asked softly, unsure if he could understand her language. Sarnak, exhausted and confused, didn't respond. He barely had the energy to lift his head. But he could see her face, the genuine concern in her eyes. Something about her was different from what he had imagined about humans. She wasn't scared of him. She was trying to help him. He was used to fear. He had fought countless battles, faced danger, and seen beings cower at the sight of him. But this human, she was different. She was not afraid. She was kind. Lily didn't seem to understand the full extent of his situation. To her, he was just someone who needed help, someone who needed to be saved. As she tended to his wounds, Sarnak watched her in silence. He could feel a strange connection growing between them. He had never felt this way before. Maybe Earth wasn't the cursed place he thought it was. But the tension was still there. He was a soldier. He had his mission. He couldn't let his emotions get in the way. Still, in the back of his mind, Xarnak couldn't help but wonder, what was this strange feeling? Why was he not pushing her away? Why was he allowing this human to care for him? The feeling confused him, but at the same time, it was comforting. Lily finished patching up his wounds, her hands shaking slightly. She glanced at him nervously, still unsure of what exactly he was. He was nothing like the humans she had encountered before. His skin had a strange, otherworldly texture. His eyes were a deep shade of red, glowing faintly in the dim light. "Don't worry," she said, her voice steady but gentle. "I'm going to help you." Xarnak could sense her sincerity, but the more he stayed with her, the more he realized that Earth wasn't as simple as he thought. Maybe there was something more to this planet than just primitive beings. Maybe the humans were more than he had given them credit for. As the minutes passed, Xarnak found himself wondering about something he hadn't expected to question. Could he trust this human? Could he trust Lily? The silence between them grew heavy with tension. Xarnak's mind raced. Should he push her away? Was this just a temporary feeling? Or was there something deeper, something that could change everything for him? Lily, on the other hand, continued to care for him without hesitation. She had no idea that she was taking care of an alien soldier from another world, a being who had been sent to Earth as punishment. To her, all that mattered was helping him. She had never been afraid of the unknown. But was she making a dangerous mistake? Was helping him the right thing to do? The suspense builds. Could this alien soldier be a threat to humanity, or is he simply a lost soul in need of help? The audience is left wondering what will happen next. What will Xarnak do now that he's here, in this strange new world? Will he remain loyal to his alien commanders and continue his mission? Or will he find something in this human that makes him question everything he knew? And most importantly, what will happen between him and Lily? As the two of them share a quiet moment in the middle of this alien world, the story leaves us with more questions than answers. Will Xarnak's arrival on Earth be the beginning of something new? Or the end? Xarnak lay beneath the dim light of a dense forest, his mind whirling with thoughts. He had never been so close to a human before, and this strange world, Earth, felt more alien to him than his own home planet. Everything about it was unfamiliar, from the air to the way Lily spoke, and even the way she moved. There was so much to understand. Lily, on the other hand, didn't understand Xarnak. He was an alien soldier, and everything about him screamed danger. His appearance alone was unsettling. His glowing red eyes, his muscular form, and the advanced technology he carried. She had no idea what he had come to Earth for, but part of her trusted him. That trust was slowly growing, but it didn't come easily. Lily had no reason to believe that Xarnak wasn't dangerous, but when he looked at her, there was something different in his eyes, a deep, conflicted feeling. It wasn't the cold, calculating gaze of an invader. It was confusion, hesitation, and curiosity. The differences between them were glaring. Xarnak's mindset was firmly rooted in his alien culture. His people valued strength, logic, and discipline above all else. Emotions were seen as weaknesses. There was no room for empathy, love, or care in the harsh world he came from. As a soldier, Xarnak had been trained to conquer, to kill, and to survive. His mission had always been clear: to destroy, to win. Lily, however, saw the world differently. She was driven by emotions, compassion, empathy, and care for those around her. She couldn't understand how Xarnak could be so detached from human emotions. When she spoke to him, she saw him struggle to understand simple concepts like love, kindness, and friendship. One evening, as they sat around a small fire, Lily tried to explain the human concept of love. It's like a bond, Xarnak. It's when you care about someone so much that you would do anything for them, even risk your own life. Zarnak frowned, trying to comprehend her words. "I understand risk," he said, "but why would a human sacrifice for another? It weakens you." Lily smiled softly, shaking her head. "It doesn't weaken us, Zarnak. It makes us stronger. We fight for the ones we care about. That's what makes us human." Zarnak couldn't fathom it. The idea of caring for another being, of putting someone else's needs above your own, was something he had never considered. It was illogical, irrational. But slowly, over time, he began to see the value in what Lily was saying. When they traveled through the forests together, Lily would explain human history to him, how humans fought wars, but also made peace. She told him about the great explorers who had traveled to distant lands, about the scientists who had uncovered the secrets of the universe. She spoke of love, family, and the small joys of life. For the first time in his life, Zarnak began to realize that strength didn't only come from power or technology. It came from the heart, the very thing he had dismissed his entire life. But just as Zarnak began to understand these complex human emotions, danger was approaching. One evening, as they rested by the fire, Zarnak's communicator, a small device embedded in his armor, began to beep. His face hardened as he activated it. A distorted voice echoed through the static. "Zarnak," the voice said, "you are being hunted. The bounty hunters have activated their trackers. They are closing in on your location." Lily's eyes widened. "What does that mean? Who are they?" "They are mercenaries," Zarnak explained, his voice grim. "Bounty hunters. They track and capture fugitives. It seems my past has caught up with me." Lily could see the tension in his face. "How many are there? How close are they?" Zarnak's gaze scanned the horizon, his advanced technology already pinpointing the location of the approaching threat. "3. They are equipped with cloaking technology, like mine. They are skilled and deadly." Lily felt a cold shiver run down her spine. She had heard of bounty hunters before, dangerous individuals who would do anything for money. But these weren't just ordinary bounty hunters. They were hunting Zarnak, and the technology they carried was unlike anything she had ever seen. Zarnak's mission had become more complicated than ever. Not only did he have to come to terms with his punishment on Earth, but now he had to fight for survival. Zarnak turned to Lily, his eyes filled with uncertainty. "They know I'm here. We can't outrun them." Lily's heart raced. She had no idea how to fight these bounty hunters. She had no training, but she had something that Zarnak didn't: knowledge of the Earth and its environment. She had spent her life studying the planet's ecosystems, its creatures, and its hidden dangers. She might not have weapons, but she had the knowledge of the land. "We can't let them find us," she said, her voice steady despite the fear rising in her chest. "We need to hide." Zarnak nodded, but he could see the fear in her eyes. He was used to facing enemies head-on, using force and power to defeat them. But Earth was different. He didn't know how to fight here. He didn't know the terrain, and most importantly, he didn't know the people. As they prepared to move, Zarnak's communicator buzzed again. The voice was clearer now, more menacing. "We've located you. We will capture you, Zarnak. Your punishment is far from over." A chill ran down his spine. It wasn't just the bounty hunters. There was something else, something even darker, looming over Earth. He had come here thinking Earth was weak, a place of no consequence. But now he was beginning to see that Earth wasn't just some primitive world. There were threats here, threats that even he hadn't anticipated. The bounty hunters weren't the only danger. Zarnak felt it in his gut. Something bigger was coming, something that would threaten not just his life, but the entire planet. And Lily, she was caught in the middle. As they moved deeper into the woods, away from the bounty hunters' tracking devices, Zarnak began to wonder if he had made a mistake. Was he truly just a pawn in a bigger game? Were the humans really as weak as he had once thought? He looked at Lily, who was moving quickly, trying to stay ahead of the danger. For the first time, Sarnak felt a bond with her, a connection that went beyond their cultural differences. He had always fought alone, but now, for the first time in his life, he had a reason to fight for someone else. And as the shadows of the bounty hunters closed in, Sarnak knew that the battle for Earth had only just begun. Sarnak had always thought of himself as an outsider, someone who didn't belong among humans. He had been raised by his people, taught to follow orders, and trained to fight without questioning. Loyalty to his race, his commanders, and his mission were the only things that had ever mattered to him. The idea of love, friendship, or caring for another was foreign. But now, as he stood beside Lily, a human he barely knew, those once rigid beliefs were starting to break down. It had been weeks since Sarnak's crash landing on Earth. In that time, he had been forced to confront emotions he had never known existed. His mission, which had once seemed clear and unquestionable, now felt like an ancient duty, one that was rapidly losing its meaning. Sarnak still felt a strong loyalty to his own kind. The alien race he came from had given him everything: power, purpose, and a clear path in life. He had been trained as a warrior, conditioned to serve his people above all else. But as he spent more time with Lily, he couldn't help but feel something he never imagined: a sense of belonging. Lily was different from any human he had ever imagined. She was strong, capable, and filled with compassion. She had suffered so much, losing her family, fighting to protect her planet. And yet she didn't give up. She didn't let the world break her. Each day, their relationship grew stronger. When they first met, Sarnak had only seen her as an obstacle, a human to be dealt with. But now he saw her as something more. The way she cared for him when he was injured, the way she talked to him about her dreams, her fears, it made him question everything he had ever known. He began to realize that his mission to Earth was no longer just about punishment. It was about something much deeper. And Lily had become a central part of that. But as much as he wanted to stay by her side, he still felt the weight of his people's expectations. Could he truly betray his loyalty to his own race for a human? For the first time, Sarnak found himself at a crossroads, torn between duty and a strange, unexpected love. One quiet evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting long shadows over the forest, Sarnak and Lily heard the unmistakable hum of a cloaking device in the air. Lily's eyes widened with fear. The bounty hunters. They found us. Before she could say another word, the first of the bounty hunters appeared, his form materializing from the shadows. His advanced cloaking device had failed to mask his presence, but the skill with which he moved was unmistakable. Unlike the previous ones, this hunter wasn't just a mercenary. He was an elite soldier, someone who had been sent specifically to capture Sarnak. Sarnak's hand instinctively went to the weapon at his side. The fight-or-flight instinct kicked in, and he felt the familiar rush of adrenaline flood his veins. He couldn't let the hunter get to Lily. He had to protect her. "Stay behind me," Sarnak ordered in a low voice. But Lily, always the fighter, didn't flinch. "No, I can fight too. I won't let you face this alone." Despite the tension, there was something comforting about hearing those words. For the first time, Sarnak realized that he wasn't alone in this fight. Lily wasn't just a human he had to protect. She was an ally, someone who had willingly joined him in this battle. Sarnak activated his cloaking device, hoping to gain the upper hand. He vanished from sight, his form blending seamlessly with the surrounding environment. The bounty hunter paused, sensing the shift in the air. He was good, but Sarnak was better. The two moved like shadows, each trying to outsmart the other. But the hunter was no novice. He moved with precision, anticipating Sarnak's every move. As Sarnak lunged forward, the hunter suddenly spun, narrowly dodging his strike. The fight escalated quickly, with Sarnak using all his combat skills. But something wasn't right. The hunter was too skilled, his movements too swift and calculated. A series of rapid exchanges left Sarnak's cloaking device malfunctioning. He cursed under his breath as the hunter's weapon grazed his side, leaving a wound. Blood, or what passed for it in his alien form, began to seep through his armor. Lily's heart pounded in her chest as she watched the battle unfold. Without thinking, she rushed toward Sarnak, wielding a small but sharp blade she had scavenged earlier. But before she could reach him, the hunter turned his attention to her. "Stay back," Sarnak shouted. But Lily wasn't listening. Her fury at seeing him hurt fueled her determination. She lunged forward, slashing her blade with precision. The hunter, distracted by her sudden attack, faltered. It was enough. Sarnak seized the opportunity, using his superior strength and speed to knock the hunter down. With a swift move, he incapacitated the mercenary, leaving him unconscious on the ground. Breathing heavily, Sarnak looked at Lily. Her face was flushed, but she was unharmed. For a moment, he simply stared at her, realizing that this small human had just saved his life. As the dust settled, Sarnak and Lily took a moment to catch their breath. The fight had been intense, but they had won for now. Sarnak felt the weight of his injury, the pain beginning to sink in. His armor was damaged, and the wound on his side was deep. But it wasn't the physical injury that bothered him. It was the emotional toll. Lily knelt beside him, her hands gentle as she examined the wound. "You're hurt," she said softly. "I'll help you." Sarnak flinched as her hands touched his wound, but there was a strange comfort in her touch. He had always prided himself on his strength, on being able to withstand any pain. But in this moment, as Lily tended to his injury, he felt something he had never felt before: vulnerability. "I'll be fine," he muttered, though he knew it wasn't true. But Lily didn't look at him like he was weak. She looked at him as if she cared, something he had never thought possible from a human. "I know," she said quietly, "but we're in this together, right? I'm not leaving you behind." Sarnak looked into her eyes, and for the first time, he understood what she meant. She wasn't just a human who needed protecting. She was a person who had her own pain, her own burdens, just like him. And that made them more alike than he had ever imagined. Lily, too, had suffered great loss. Her family had been taken from her by the alien invaders, the very same ones that Sarnak had once served. It was a pain she carried deep within her, a pain that pushed her to fight, to survive. She had never shared this with anyone, not until now. But in that moment, with Sarnak's blood on her hands, she knew that their bond had deepened. They were both survivors, both fighting against the odds. And together, they might just have a chance. The atmosphere was thick with tension as Sarnak and Lily found themselves standing side by side once again, ready for whatever danger lay ahead. The fight had already been intense, but this time, they were facing a much greater threat, one that they couldn't fight alone. After the attack by the first bounty hunter, Sarnak knew they were far from safe. His instincts had told him that the danger wasn't over, that something much bigger was coming for them. The next day, as the sun set, their worst fears came true. A message arrived, flashing across their screen. "Reinforcements are on their way." Sarnak's heart sank. The bounty hunters weren't coming alone. A whole army was on its way, and they were determined to capture or kill them at any cost. "They're bringing a whole fleet," Sarnak said, his voice tight with tension. "This is bad. Lily, we're outnumbered." Lily didn't hesitate. "Then we fight back. We're not running. We've made it this far together, and I'm not backing down now." They quickly set up a defensive perimeter around their location, but it wasn't long before the skies darkened with the arrival of the alien ships. Hundreds of them, sleek and menacing, emerged from the clouds above. Their engines hummed ominously as they descended toward Earth. Sarnak and Lily knew this was going to be a fight for their lives. The first wave of missiles came in fast and furious. Alien warships fired upon the Earth with deadly precision. Explosions ripped through the ground as the missiles struck, sending shockwaves that shook the very earth beneath their feet. The sound of the blasts was deafening, and the bright flashes lit up the night sky. It was chaos, pure and simple. As Zarnak and Lily scrambled to avoid the explosions, their movements swift as they sought cover. The alien ships above were relentless, dropping more bombs on the Earth. The devastation was beyond anything they had seen before. Zarnak activated his cloaking device once again, disappearing into the shadows to assess the situation. But even with his advanced technology, it was clear that they were fighting an uphill battle. The sheer firepower of the alien ships was overwhelming. He turned to Lily. "We need to stop them before they wipe us out completely." Lily nodded, determination in her eyes. She had seen enough destruction. She was ready to fight for her home, for the people she loved, and for the alien she had come to care about. "We have one shot at this," she said, her voice steady. "If we can disable their communication systems, we can cut off their coordination. They won't be able to fight as effectively." Zarnak agreed. It was a risky move, but it was their best chance. He activated his tech, linking up with Lily's improvised systems. They had to act quickly before the enemy ships completed their assault. The first wave of alien troops arrived on the ground shortly after the bombardment. They came in full force, their armored bodies heavy and imposing. But Zarnak and Lily were ready. The two of them fought side by side, using their combined skills to take down each enemy soldier. Zarnak's alien strength was a huge advantage, allowing him to tear through the enemy forces with ease. He moved swiftly, his weapon glowing with an intense blue light as he cut through the aliens with precision. But the enemies were relentless, and they continued to pour onto the battlefield, seemingly without end. Lily fought with equal fury. Although she didn't have the strength of Zarnak, her agility and quick thinking made her a deadly opponent. She had learned much about survival and combat since she met Zarnak, and now she was using everything she had to protect both of them. As the battle raged on, Zarnak used his cloaking device to get in position for a final strike. He knew the only way to win this fight was to disrupt the aliens' communication network. He had a plan, but it required him to get close to one of their command centers. "Lily," Zarnak shouted over the roar of battle. "Cover me while I take out their signal station." Lily nodded without hesitation, moving swiftly to block the alien forces that were advancing on Zarnak. She could feel the weight of the fight pressing down on her, but she didn't back down. She would do whatever it took to keep Zarnak safe. As Zarnak moved toward the alien command center, his heart raced. His plan was dangerous, and there was no guarantee it would work. But it was their only shot at disabling the alien forces before they were overwhelmed. The closer Zarnak got to the command center, the more intense the fighting became. He could see the alien troops getting closer to Lily. She was holding her ground, but he knew she couldn't keep this up alone forever. With a heavy heart, Zarnak made the decision. He activated his alien technology once more, preparing for the ultimate sacrifice. He deployed an EMP device, a high-powered pulse that could disable all alien tech within a large radius. It was a powerful tool, one that could give them the advantage they needed, but it came at a great cost. The device would disable his cloaking technology, and it would leave him vulnerable. As he activated the device, a surge of energy shot through the air, sending a ripple of electricity across the battlefield. Alien technology flickered and shut down, and the alien troops were thrown into disarray. Zarnak had done it. The battle had shifted in their favor, but the victory came at a terrible price. The device had drained Zarnak's power, and he was left exposed. As he stumbled forward, trying to regain his footing, one of the alien soldiers took advantage of the opportunity. The blow hit him hard, sending him crashing to the ground. Lily saw the attack happen and screamed in horror. She rushed to Zarnak's side, her hands trembling as she tried to pull him away from the enemy. "No, stay with me," she cried, but Zarnak could feel his strength fading. He had given everything for this moment, and now he was paying the price. "Lily," he whispered, his voice weak. I did it. We can win." Just as the alien forces began to regroup, Lily fought with everything. She had to keep Sarnak alive. She wasn't going to let him die. Not like this. She had come to care for him, to feel for him in ways she never imagined. But as the battle raged on, it became clear that the sacrifices made were too great. Sarnak's loyal friend, Bonner, fell in the midst of the chaos. He had been one of Sarnak's closest allies, and his death hit them both hard. Bonner's sacrifice, along with the loss of many other soldiers, left a painful mark on Sarnak. He had lost his people, his planet, and now his friends. He had given everything, and it seemed as if the weight of that sacrifice would crush him. As the battle continued, Sarnak's thoughts were clouded with the weight of the loss. But Lily was by his side, refusing to let him give up. She had fought alongside him, shared his pain, and now she would be the one to help him through this. Together, they had to keep fighting. For Bonner, for the fallen soldiers, for Earth, and for the future they had yet to fight for. In the midst of the devastation, one thing was certain. Their fight was far from over. But as they stood together, their bond stronger than ever, they knew they had a chance. They had each other, and that was all that mattered. The skies over Earth were filled with smoke and flames. The alien ships that had come to destroy humanity loomed above, their dark shapes blotting out the sun. After weeks of intense battles, humanity was on the brink of extinction. The final showdown was upon them, and it would decide if Earth would survive or fall. But in this moment of darkness, there was still hope. Sarnak had proven himself to be a skilled warrior, and now he was using his military experience to guide humanity in their fight for survival. He wasn't just a soldier anymore, he was Earth's protector. Sarnak stood before a group of Earth's top military leaders, his heart heavy with the weight of the responsibility. The alien fleet had invaded, and the human forces were struggling to keep up. They had lost soldiers, their cities had been devastated, and they were now fighting a war they never expected. But Sarnak didn't see these humans as weak anymore. He had learned to respect them, to admire their strength and determination. Despite their small stature compared to his own kind, they had shown resilience like no other species he had encountered. He had been wrong about them. Humans were fighters. They had the will to survive. "We cannot let Earth fall," Sarnak said firmly, his voice carrying through the room. "You've fought bravely, but now it's time for us to strike back. We must use everything we have, our technology, our knowledge, and our strength, to turn the tables." Lily stood beside him, her hand resting gently on his arm. She had grown to trust him completely. And now, as they prepared for the final battle, she could feel the bond between them stronger than ever. "We need to synchronize our forces," Sarnak continued. "Your aircraft, combined with my technology, will give us the edge. We must attack their weak points, their command ships. If we take them down, the entire fleet will crumble." The human generals nodded, finally seeing the hope they had been searching for. Sarnak's plan was risky, but it was their best chance to win. They had nothing left to lose. The battle began as Earth's military launched their final offensive. Fighter jets zipped through the sky, their engines roaring as they engaged alien ships in high-speed dogfights. The air was thick with the sound of weapons firing, and explosions rocked the Earth below. It was chaos, a battlefield of unimaginable proportions. Sarnak and Lily fought side by side, using their combined strength to cut down alien forces. Sarnak's alien weaponry was powerful, but it was his ability to think like a human soldier that made him so effective. He had learned how to adapt to Earth's technology, using it to his advantage. His weapon was sleek, futuristic, and deadly, an extension of himself as he tore through the alien ranks. Lily was right there with him, her fighting skills sharpened through the many battles they had faced together. Her heart pounded as she fought for her people, but her connection to Sarnak made her stronger. With every strike, she knew they were not just fighting for survival. They were fighting for each other. The visual scenes were breathtaking. Close-quarters combat unfolded in the streets, where soldiers fought with everything they had. In the skies, fighter jets danced around the massive alien ships, dodging missiles and launching counterattacks. Every explosion sent a wave of heat and sound, shaking the very ground they stood on. The fight was fast-paced and relentless, with no time for hesitation. But even as the battle raged, Sarnak and Lily shared a quiet moment amidst the chaos. They had come so far together, and now they had to rely on each other more than ever. "Stay close to me," Sarnak said, his voice filled with both determination and care. "We can do this, together." Lily smiled, though it was filled with the weight of the situation. "I'm not going anywhere," she replied. "Let's finish this." Their connection, both emotional and physical, was stronger than ever. They had fought for each other, and now their love was the driving force behind their every move. They were not just allies anymore. They were partners in this battle for Earth's survival. Sarnak had spent countless hours studying the alien fleet's weaknesses. He had watched them fight, analyzed their movements, and now he was ready to strike. The key to their victory lay in the alien command ships, the heart of their operations. If they could take them out, the alien forces would be thrown into disarray. He communicated his plan to the military leaders. It was time for the final push. "Listen up," he shouted over the comms. "I'm going to use my ship to break through their defenses. We need to distract them while the human forces take out their command centers. Once we hit them hard enough, they won't be able to recover." Lily glanced at him, understanding the risks. "Are you sure about this?" "I have to be," Sarnak replied, his voice unwavering. "This is the only way." The final push began. Sarnak piloted his ship into the heart of the alien fleet, using his cloaking technology to stay hidden, while the human forces created chaos around the aliens. Fighter jets and bombers launched attack after attack, breaking through enemy defenses. Each strike hit harder than the last. As Sarnak flew deeper into the enemy lines, he could feel the adrenaline coursing through his veins. His ship was built for speed and agility, but even it couldn't avoid all the incoming fire. Blasts rocked the vessel, sending shockwaves through the cockpit. But Sarnak didn't flinch. He had come too far to turn back now. In the chaos, Sarnak found his target, the largest alien command ship. It was heavily shielded, but he had the technology to disable it. He activated his ship's most powerful weapon, a pulse blast that would send a wave of energy strong enough to disable the ship's shields. The blast hit its mark. The alien command ship shuddered as its shields flickered and went down. Sarnak didn't waste a second. He fired again. And this time, the ship exploded in a flash of light. The alien fleet was thrown into chaos. As the alien fleet began to fall apart, Sarnak couldn't help but reflect on the journey that had brought him to this moment. He had come to Earth with one goal: to conquer, to destroy. He had seen humans as weak, primitive beings, but now he saw them differently. Through his time with Lily, through the battles they had fought together, Sarnak had come to understand the strength of the human spirit. They were not weak. They were resilient, determined, and capable of incredible bravery. "I was wrong," Sarnak whispered to himself. "Humans are more than I ever imagined. They are powerful in ways I never understood." He looked to Lily, who was fighting just as fiercely as he was. She had become more than just a partner in battle. She had become his equal, his anchor. Together, they were unstoppable. The final moments of the battle were a blur of action. With the alien command ships disabled, the remaining alien forces scattered, their morale shattered. Earth's military pushed forward, finishing off the remaining invaders with precision and strength. When the dust settled, the battlefield was silent. The alien fleet had been destroyed, and humanity had won. But it wasn't just a victory of military might. It was a victory of heart, of connection, and of the bond between two very different beings. Sarnak stood with Lily, looking out over the devastated city. But for the first time in what felt like forever, he felt hope. They had survived. Together. "We did it," Lily said, her voice filled with awe and exhaustion. The Xarnock nodded, but his eyes were filled with something deeper: respect, admiration, and even love. "Together, we can do anything," he said. And with that, they knew that no matter what came next, they would face it side by side. The future was uncertain, but one thing was clear: humanity and Xarnock's species had changed forever. And together, they would build a new world, one built on strength, respect, and love. The battle was over. The alien fleet, once poised to destroy Earth, was now nothing more than scattered debris across the skies. The bounty hunters who had pursued Xarnock, relentless in their mission to hunt him down, had been defeated. Xarnock's journey had come full circle, from a ruthless alien warrior to a protector of humanity. And now he had a choice to make. Would he leave Earth, the place that had changed him, or would he stay and build a new life among the humans he had once deemed inferior? Xarnock stood atop a ruined building, the morning sun casting a soft light over the landscape of Earth. The city had been severely damaged during the battles, but there was a sense of calm now, a sense of hope for the future. Earth's military had done what was thought impossible. They had survived, and with Xarnock's help, they had defeated the alien forces. Lily was by his side, her presence comforting him as they watched the sun rise together. After the final battle, they had both been overwhelmed by the enormity of what they had accomplished. But now, in the quiet aftermath, Xarnock found himself at a crossroads. He had never imagined he would feel so at home on Earth. He had come to this planet with only one goal in mind: to conquer and to destroy. But that had changed. He had seen the strength of humanity, the resilience, and the love that existed between them. It had been that love that had saved Earth and helped him find his own redemption. Xarnock turned to Lily, his heart heavy with the emotions he had never allowed himself to feel before. "Lily, I owe you more than just my life," he said, his voice soft, but filled with sincerity. "You've shown me a side of humanity that I never understood. I came here to conquer, but now I want to stay." Lily looked at him with a mixture of surprise and joy. She had never imagined that Xarnock, the fierce alien warrior, would speak those words. But as she saw the truth in his eyes, she realized that he was no longer the man, or alien, he once was. He had changed, and so had she. "I never wanted you to leave," Lily replied, her voice filled with warmth. "But I didn't know if you would want to stay after everything that's happened." Xarnock smiled, a small but genuine smile that lit up his face. "I have no home left in my own world, but here I have found something worth fighting for. I found love, and that is something I can't leave behind." The moment was filled with emotion. It wasn't just the end of a battle or the end of a war. It was the beginning of something new. A new chapter not only for Xarnock, but also for Earth. They were two very different beings, from two very different worlds, but together they had created something beautiful. Xarnock's decision to stay on Earth was met with mixed reactions from the human population. Some were wary, still uncertain about trusting an alien who had once been their enemy. Others, like Lily's family, accepted him wholeheartedly. Over time, Xarnock proved himself to be a valuable ally to humanity. He didn't just fight in the wars. He helped rebuild, using his advanced technology to aid in the recovery of Earth's damaged cities. As months passed, Xarnock became a symbol of redemption. His story spread across the world. How an alien who had once come to destroy humanity now fought to protect it. His transformation wasn't just physical, it was emotional and spiritual as well. He no longer saw humans as inferior. Instead, he saw them as equals, capable of great things when united. Xarnock learned to live among humans. He studied their cultures, their history, and their way of life. He didn't want to just survive on Earth. He wanted to understand it, to be a part of it. And as he spent more time with Lily, their bond deepened. They weren't just partners in battle anymore. They were partners in life. Lily showed him the simple joys of being human, the feeling of the sun on your skin, the taste of food that wasn't made from alien technology, the laughter shared with friends and family. These small moments became precious to him, more valuable than any victory he had ever won on the battlefield. One evening, as the stars glittered above them, Sarnak and Lily sat on a quiet hill overlooking the city. The sounds of life echoed in the distance, but in this moment, everything felt peaceful. It was a rare moment of calm, and Sarnak knew that he needed to share his heart with Lily. "Lily," he began, his voice serious but filled with emotion, "when I first came to Earth, I saw only an enemy. But you changed that. You showed me that love isn't just something we fight for. It's something we live for." Lily turned to him, her eyes soft with understanding. "I never imagined this would be how things turned out. But I'm glad it did. You've taught me so much." Knock. Sarnak took a deep breath, his heart pounding in his chest. For the first time, he allowed himself to be vulnerable. "I love you, Lily. I've never felt this way before. I don't know what the future holds, but I know I want to be with you. Here, on Earth." Tears welled up in Lily's eyes, but they were happy tears. She had always known that their connection was special, but hearing him say those words made everything real. "I love you too, Sarnak. I always have." They kissed then, and in that moment, the entire world seemed to fall away. It wasn't just a kiss. It was the promise of a future they would build together. No more wars, no more enemies. Just love, hope, and the possibility of something better. As the years passed, Sarnak's place on Earth was cemented. He became an ambassador of sorts, working alongside humans to strengthen the bond between their species. He helped mediate peace treaties, guided Earth's military, and used his knowledge to help advance technology. He was no longer just an outsider. He was a beloved member of humanity. And throughout all of this, his love for Lily never wavered. They married in a quiet ceremony, surrounded by friends, family, and allies. It wasn't a grand event, but it was perfect for them. They had fought for their love, and now they were free to live it. Sarnak's story became a legend, a tale of redemption, of love conquering all, and of the power of second chances. His past, filled with violence and destruction, was now a distant memory, overshadowed by the life he had built with Lily and the humans who had accepted him. Together, they proved that even the most unlikely of alliances could change the course of history. And as they looked out over the Earth they had saved, Sarnak and Lily knew that their love was the foundation of a new world. A world where good no longer fought against evil, but where love and unity had triumphed, creating a future where both species could thrive. The story ended not with an explosion or a final battle, but with hope. Hope for the future, hope for a new beginning, and the knowledge that love, in its purest form, could heal even the deepest wounds.